When starting a new garden, one of the most important questions you may be asking is, what do I grow? There's so many options out there. But what if I told you there are 10 almost foolproof vegetables that are super easy to grow and they're very rewarding? Every new gardener should be growing these in their garden. I'm gonna break down what these vegetables are, why they're so important for new gardeners, and exactly what you need to know to grow them successfully in your garden. So grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and a notebook and let's dive in. So the very first crop you should be growing if you're a new gardener is lettuce. And that would be your loose leaf lettuce, picked as baby lettuce especially. This is a super quick crop to get from seed to harvest. You can plant things like romaine, which are really easy to grow, or any of your butter crunch lettuces. Those are head lettuces, but you can pick them early and young and have baby lettuces in your salad. Lettuce thrives between 45 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a crop that you're going to want to grow in the spring and in the early fall. Lettuce does not like very hot or warm temperatures. It's not something that's going to thrive in the middle of summer in most areas. I live in Florida. It's really hard for me to grow lettuce here, even in the spring. I have to grow it in the fall and in the winter because my temperature is so warm. So if you live in a very temperate climate, like something that maybe doesn't get a lot of freezing or frost, you could probably grow lettuce all the way through the winter with a little bit of frost protection. Planting lettuce is really easy. The best way to do it is really just to plant it directly in the ground. You can start it in your seed trays and then transplant it out later. But I'll be honest with you, I found that it's easiest when it comes to lettuce just to seed it in my garden beds. And if I want to do, like I said, the baby lettuce, then I will overseed. I don't have to worry too much about spacing. I can put the lettuce very closely together because I'm gonna pick it young. So I will just sprinkle the lettuce seeds on the ground and lightly cover them with soil, water them in well, and I'm gonna be harvesting lettuce a lot of times in 30 to 45 days. And if you wanna keep those salads coming throughout the growing season, plant your lettuce every 2 weeks, succession plant it. So as you're harvesting, you're planting more lettuce behind it and you have a steady supply of lettuce until it gets too warm for you to be able to grow it. The next really easy crop to grow are radishes, especially the French breakfast and cherry bell varieties. Radishes are a very quick growing crop. They're another cool weather crop. So they're something you're gonna wanna plant in the spring and the fall. Like I said, in temperate climates, you can probably even grow them over the winter. Radishes thrive between 50 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Radishes are very quick growing crops. They can be harvested in less than a month. One important consideration when growing radishes is they do not like warm weather at all. So if the weather starts to get hot, they will turn bitter or bolt. Save these plants for your spring and fall garden. But these plants are great to get in the ground, especially if you have something like tomatoes and you're growing your tomatoes indoors and you're waiting to plant them outside. You can use the space that the tomatoes are eventually going to go in and plant your radishes in that space and get a harvest in a month while you're waiting on your tomatoes to mature before they go in the ground. The next really easy vegetable to grow that every new gardener should be growing is carrots. Now, I prefer the Danvers half-long carrots. You could also do like a rainbow variety, but I found the Danvers half-long carrots are really easy to get going, especially for new growers. A really important note about carrots, they're a root crop, so you're gonna wanna plant those directly in the ground. You're not gonna be able to transplant them. Carrots can be notoriously tricky to get going, but once they get going, they're very easy to grow. So to ensure germination, what I do is I will sow my carrots, and you can sow them pretty densely. I will sow my carrots, I will cover them lightly with soil, water them in really well, and then cover them with a board. Carrots can take anywhere from 7 to 14 days to germinate. Usually about 10 days it takes for carrots to germinate. They're another cool weather crop and they thrive between 50 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. They're also not gonna like the heat of the summer. They're just gonna struggle. But if you get your carrots in the spring, you can grow them until maturity. Once they are established, they'll handle the heat okay. Another important note about carrots is they can handle a light frost. So you can plant them in your fall garden, and as temperatures get chilly, your carrots will actually get sweeter. Another really important note when it comes to carrots is to make sure your soil is very loose. You're gonna wanna prepare your soil before planting your carrots, because if there are rocks or sticks or other debris, it can hinder your carrots from growing straight. Another great crop to grow for new gardeners is spinach, specifically your Bloomsdale variety. I like baby leaf spinach and putting that in my spring mixes. I will make my own spring mix, and I use a lot of spinach when I'm cooking in various dishes. You can use it in soups and stews and all the ways that you can use spinach. When you pick spinach when it's young, it's really quick to harvest, so you don't have to wait for it to fully head up. You can pick those leaves when they're young, and you can grow your spinach in a cut and come again method by harvesting the outer leaves and then allowing your plant to continue to grow. And this way you'll be able to continuously harvest off the same plant. But spinach is another one of those plants that it's really good to succession sow. You could do it like lettuce, and every time you harvest, you plant some more seeds so that you have continual spinach. Spinach is pretty cold tolerant, it really likes the cool weather, and it hates the heat. So as temperatures get warm, spinach can become bitter and it can bolt really quickly. Spinach will thrive between 40 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Another crop that's great for your early spring and fall plantings. And again, if you live in a temperate climate like I do, you can grow spinach all year long. And number 5 on our easy to grow vegetable list is beans. Specifically bush beans. Now, pole beans are great, and even new gardeners can do really well with pole beans. They're pretty easy to get going. The thing about pole beans is they do need some type of trellising system because they will go everywhere, which is why I prefer the bush bean varieties for your new gardeners. So you could grow some type of green bean, bush bean variety, and many of the different varieties will work for you, so just pick your favorite one. But bush beans are really great to get in your garden. You're gonna wanna plant these after your last frost date. You wanna make sure there's no chance of frost. Bush beans don't really like frost, but they can handle some of the cooler weather temperatures in your springtime garden. Bush beans will do okay throughout the summer until it gets really hot. They don't like it when it gets really hot, but up until that point, they will do okay. You're gonna wanna wait to plant your bush beans outside though until it's about 55 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. You're gonna wanna direct seed these. Bush beans are the perfect crop for small spaces, for small gardens. So if you're growing in containers or grow bags, or if your garden bed is just pretty small and you want a decent harvest, bush beans can be grown in the latter part of spring, the early part of fall, and the main garden in summer. Number 6 is everybody's favorite. It's what we think about when we think about a vegetable garden: tomatoes. I really love your big beefsteak juicy tomatoes. Who doesn't, right? But for the new gardener, those are probably not gonna be the first thing you wanna start with when it comes to tomatoes. A good option is to start with determinate varieties. That is, tomatoes that are gonna get to a determined height and then set all of their fruit at once. You're gonna have a smaller fruit set on those, but you're gonna get a huge flush of tomatoes with your determinate varieties, and they're pretty easy to grow. Another really great option is cherry tomatoes. If you go into your grocery store, cherry tomatoes are rather expensive, but you can grow them in your garden fairly easily, and if you provide a little bit of support, a little bit of trellising, your cherry tomatoes are just gonna take off and give you tons and tons of tomatoes throughout your growing season. If you've never had a homegrown tomato, you actually don't know what tomatoes taste like. The tomatoes you get in the grocery store versus the ones you grow in your garden are gonna be completely different. This is because the tomatoes grown in your garden are allowed to ripen. By allowing them to ripen in the sun, you actually create a different flavor profile than the ones you get in the grocery store, because those are picked green before they're allowed to ripen. When it comes to specific varieties, Sun Gold and Super Sweet 100 are great for beginners. They're less prone to disease and they give you a really high yield, but they're not very fussy plants that require a lot of work. Number 7 are your peppers, specifically your bell peppers and your banana peppers. So bell peppers are a staple in a lot of the things I cook, and I'm always growing bell peppers in my garden. Your banana peppers are really productive. They're just gonna wanna grow, they're gonna take off. One quick tip when it comes to growing your peppers is to make sure that you wait to plant them outside until your temperatures are warm enough. Peppers will not set fruit and they will not do very well. They'll look pretty healthy, but you won't actually get a harvest if you plant them outside too early. And this is a mistake that I see a lot of new gardeners make. They will put their peppers outside when temperatures are still pretty low. You're gonna wanna wait until temperatures at nighttime are staying above 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Peppers thrive between 70 and 85 degrees. Peppers take a long time to mature. The best way to start your pepper plants is to start them indoors, about 6 to 8 weeks before you transplant them outside. And like I said, before you transplant them outside, make sure those nighttime temperatures are staying above 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Number 8 is your cucumbers, both your bush and vining varieties. Now, with the vining varieties, it's best to provide some type of trellising if you want to get them up off the ground and allow air circulation, airflow. Also, this will kind of help reduce the space that they take up. Cucumbers, especially the vining varieties, can take up a lot of space in your garden. So providing a trellis system will get them growing vertically and reduce the amount of space that they take up in the garden. When it comes to new gardeners though, and especially if you have a small space, your better option might be your bush variety cucumbers. Now, with the bush variety, you don't usually need to provide a trellising option, but they will spread out a little bit. Bush varieties are great if you're growing in grow bags or containers, or again, if you just have a small space in your garden. Your cucumbers are gonna thrive between 70 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. If it gets too warm, your cucumbers can get a little bit bitter, but as a general rule, they are gonna thrive in your main season garden. The best way to plant your cucumbers is by direct seeding them when the temperatures are at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Cucumbers love sun, warmth, and a lot of water. Number 9 are your green onion and bunching onion varieties. Now, a lot of times we can actually grow these all year round in our garden. Although it's best to plant them when temperatures are between 55 and 75 degrees, that's when they do the best. But green onions and bunching onions can handle a light frost once they're already established. In mild temperate climates like mine, we can grow green onions pretty much all year round. During the summer, they may not do as well when temperatures are really warm, like July and August, but providing a little bit of shade, you might even be able to get them through the summer and grow them for the entire season. Green onions and bunching onions are really easy to plant. You can direct seed these outside and lightly cover them with soil, water them in really well, and they're gonna sprout up for you just fine. Alternatively, you can transplant green onions out into your garden, but to be honest, I always direct seed mine. It's just a lot easier. Number 10 is your garlic. There are 2 different varieties of garlic you can grow: hardneck garlic or softneck garlic. Softneck garlic is a lot easier to grow, especially for your new gardeners, but your hardneck varieties are bursting with flavor and they do really well in your colder climates. Garlic takes a really long time to grow. The best time to plant it is in your fall garden before your first frost date. Allow it to go through your winter, and then during the spring, it's gonna actually sprout up and begin to grow, and you'll be able to harvest it come summer. You can buy garlic from your grocery store if it's organic and plant it in the ground, but I found that planting seed garlic is what does best. Garlic will really benefit from a heavy mulch, especially after planting in the fall. I found that straw is one of the best mulches to use for garlic. If you're a new gardener just getting started, these 10 vegetables are gonna set you up for a very successful growing season. Let me know in the comments, what's the thing you're most excited to plant this year? And if you're a new gardener, check out the playlist on your screen for more beginner-friendly gardening tips. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.